The Butler is based on the life of an incredible man named Eugene Allen, who came into the White House as a butler and worked his way up to be the head butler for a period of, I believe, 8 different administrations. So you have a bit of an upstairs, downstairs experience witnessing his perspective on what really became, what kind of blossomed into this incredible civil rights movement from inside of the White House, being in the most powerful office in the land, while also having his son go out as a college student and stir up, be a part of everything that was going on. The Freedom Rides, the sit-ins, the Black Panther Party for a bit, and demand, both of them trying to find their place and have a role in bettering their society as a whole, but also bettering life for Black people. And there were two different perspectives. They were kind of on parallel rails on the same track. One is youthful and full of vigor and gusto and wants to do it now. And Forrest's character, who plays Cecil, wants to have the slow, steady, respectable, dignified train. And both are having incredible impact, and both learn ultimately that there isn't a right or wrong, that there really is a role for both, and both can have integrity. I play Reverend James Lawson. I had the privilege to play Reverend James Lawson, and more importantly, have time to really spend with Mr. Lawson in Los Angeles in my preparation for the film. Tracked him down, and he was incredibly gracious to spend some time with me. And he is a leader of, essentially, he was a Gandhiite. He lived in India for quite some time. He was a professor at Oberlin before he became associated with Martin Luther King, and really led the Satyagraha movement, the peace movement, the love force movement, that kind of found its way into Martin's teachings. And so he, in my role in this film, is training Cecil's son, Forrest's son, played by David Oyelowo, and Yaya, their characters as they come to Fisk. They come to Fisk to study with me, to take my workshop class. And I train them on the peace movement, how to have nonviolent protest and demonstration, how to sustain that over a period of time. And that kind of kicks off that journey through the South, so that we can have a different perspective than we're having in D.C. inside of the White House, to have these two parallel, this journey happening. Working with Lee is pretty amazing. I'm happy that him and I had gotten a chance to spend some significant time together beforehand to get a sense of our shorthand, and he's always been overly gracious. Socially, when we meet, we get to hang out a little bit and get a sense of each other, and get a sense of how to really speak to each other and hear each other, more importantly. And so once we got on set, we really were cooking. I mean, he gave me a lot of room to contribute, and that made a world of difference for me. Hopefully, it helped the project, obviously. But yeah, I had a lot of lateral space to kind of move around and make some choices, and we kind of workshop back and forth. And Lee's somebody who's very active as a director. He's very vocal. He's talking nonstop, and he's making sure to just make use of every second that you have. We don't waste takes. All of them count. All of them, you've learned something, and you're putting building blocks forward. And that was incredible, an incredible experience for me. Actually, I really appreciated it. I think that, my background is in education. I was a public high school teacher. Both my parents have been teachers at times. And I produce a project called Question Bridge Black Males about black male identity, about cultural literacy, identity politics, and all of these things inform each other. And I think the exposure to American history, this enormous series of chapters, rather, these volumes of American history that are just cast aside as one chapter in the American curriculum history books. It's silly and it's boring now to leave it out. And I think that storytellers, are finding ways through any mediums possible to be human and to be seen. And it doesn't have to be the be-all, end-all of any culture. It's just showing you slices of life of people that are just as American as anybody else. And this is part of the American story. And if it's new information to people, if people find it riveting or jarring in any way, great. If they've seen it a million times, if they feel like they've seen it a million times, you're going to be surprised seeing this film, because you really have several perspectives happening simultaneously that feel like they are polar opposites in terms of how you can have reform, how you can make change, how you can kick off a revolution, as it says in the poster. There's a lot of ways to do that. And there's small revolutions, there's big ones, and there's revolutions of the heart, and there's changing. And in this situation, you can change by changing one man's mind. That one man might happen to be very impactful and important, and can therefore kind of really kick off a tsunami. I try to do as much as I possibly can. I mean, Grey's Anatomy, obviously, it's a big project, and we shoot that thing over 10 months a year, so I'm pretty landlocked in LA doing that, so it's pretty restrictive. It's a wonderful job, and I love it. But when I get a chance to get out and do something different, as long as I'm doing something different with each project, I'm creatively stimulated. You know, I started working off Broadway here in New York, and that's something I love, being on stage. So I like to find a way back to doing that. So it's really about just kind of diversity of experience and finding ways to contribute, and also to tell stories that I think are worth telling. I mean, as you get into a little position where you can make some of those choices and you're not doing it just to buy a sandwich, it's nice to be able to make some choices that you think will be here 20 years from now. Well, what's funny about this project is, and movies in general, you're in movies with people, it doesn't mean you necessarily worked with them, because there's you know how the days go. And this cast has 900 spectacular actors in it, and if you happen to be on a set at the same day, you get to spend some time with the folks. I know some of these people from other projects or just experiences in New York or LA, but I spent most of my time working with Lee and David and Yaya on set, and crossed over with a couple other folks. So I'm really excited about this process, to get to spend time with people that we've told a story together, and for us to be able to use this time to kind of tell stories amongst ourselves.